Hello, Emily. Emily Doyle had never been the kind of person who answered unknown numbers. She didn't believe in fate, signs, or omens. She was 29, a systems analyst, fond of puzzles, instant noodles, and true crime podcasts that helped her sleep. Her life was quiet, predictable, clean. That was before her phone rang at exactly 3:33 a.m. on a Monday morning. She sat up in bed, blinking at the vibrating device beside her pillow. Her screen was dark except for the name flashing across the top. Ienki Omanj Kale, Imanol Doel. Her heart kicked once, sharply. Her thumb hovered over, decline. It didn't make sense. Her number shouldn't be calling itself. Curiosity won, she answered. But there was only silence on the other end, until a voice, soft and slow, whispered, "Hello, Emily." "It's me," a woman's voice. Her voice. "At 9:14 tomorrow morning, you'll open the fridge and pick the peach yogurt." Emily froze. "You'll hesitate, thinking of the vanilla one. But you'll pick peach. Then you'll check your email, and you'll see a message from Rhonda about a software patch. You'll forget it by lunch." The call ended. She stared at the screen. Xal NDD duration Aurori 42. She stared at the wall for a full minute. Then she got out of bed, walked to her kitchen, and threw her phone in a drawer. She told herself it was a prank, a sick joke, some new spam bot. But when the next morning arrived, so did the peach yogurt. She hadn't even thought about the message until her hand was already in the fridge. Peach. Her brain went cold. She put the yogurt back, grabbed vanilla instead. Her hand was shaking. Exactly 1 minute later, an email from Rhonda popped up. Subject: patch request.
You are Jim. Hi, Emily!
Quick thing before you log off. Need a security sweep on build 2.1 tonight. Her stomach flipped. She didn't forget about it by lunch. She couldn't forget anything. Her mind replayed the call like a tape on loop. At 9:47 that night, her phone rang again. Same number, same name. Email Dwali. She let it ring once before answering. "You changed the yogurt. That was clever." Her own voice sounded amused. "But it doesn't change what's coming." A pause. "Tomorrow. When Rhonda speaks to you by the elevators, she'll say, 'Guess who got promoted?' You'll smile and say, 'Please let it be you.' She'll nod. You'll hug. Then you'll spill your coffee." Emily spoke for the first time, her throat dry. "Who is this?" No answer. Just her own breath, echoing back. "Don't go to the 3rd floor next Friday. That's all I'll say for now." The line went dead. That Thursday, she debated calling the police. But calling them to report what? That she was getting calls from herself. She even tried contacting her mobile provider. They couldn't track anything. No record of the incoming calls existed on their end. Her call log showed them, but their servers did not. Friday morning came. She made it through most of the day without thinking about the warning. By 4:20 p.m., she forgot it entirely, until Rhonda pinged her on Slack. "Rhonda, can you check something on the 3rd floor backup server? It's glitching again. Thanks." Emily stared at the message. She stood up, walked to the elevator, then paused. The doors opened. Inside, a delivery guy stepped out, brushing past her. "3rd floor." He muttered, glancing at his tablet. "Figures." She blinked at him. "What's that?" He held up a clipboard. "They sent the wrong order. Whole cart of battery packs for the security server. I gotta return them." She glanced back at her screen. Rhonda's message still blinked. Instead of getting in the elevator, Emily walked back to her desk. That night, 3:33 a.m. again, the phone rang. She answered without speaking. "You listened. That's good." The voice was slower this time. Measured. Almost proud. "But you still don't understand. You think this is just about you." "It's not," Emily whispered. "Then what is it?" "It's about everyone you'll touch, and what happens when you make the wrong choice." She swallowed. "Why are you doing this?" A pause. "Because you're going to destroy everything. And I'm trying to stop you." Click. The man in the elevator. Emily didn't sleep the rest of the night. She sat on the couch with a blanket around her shoulders, watching the windows as if they might start talking too. Her phone sat on the coffee table, silent and black, like a dormant parasite. By sunrise, she had a plan. She wasn't going to work. She wasn't going to play along anymore. She booked a one-day vacation. She told Rhonda she felt sick. It wasn't a lie. But staying home didn't help. At 9:14 a.m., she still went to the fridge. She stared at the yogurt. Vanilla. She closed the door without picking one. Control. That's what she needed. A sense of it. At 11:52 a.m., her doorbell rang. She stared through the peephole. A man in a brown jacket stood outside, holding a clipboard. He looked normal, middle-aged, balding slightly. He knocked again. Emily Doyle. She didn't answer. He paused, then said something that turned her blood to ice. "You weren't supposed to stay home." He said it like he knew her. She backed away from the door, breath caught in her throat. The man didn't knock again. He just stood there for 5 minutes. Then he left. Emily didn't go near the door for the rest of the day. That night, no call came, no call the next night either. But on the third night at 3:33 a.m., the ringtone jolted her awake. Her own number again. Hands trembling, she answered. "Skipping work. Clever. But it doesn't fix anything." Her voice sounded tired, a little frayed around the edges. They sent someone to check. "You saw him." Emily's mouth was dry. "Who sent him?" The voice didn't respond. "Don't ask questions you don't want answers to." She bit her lip. "Are you me? Really?" A pause. "Not anymore." That answer chilled her more than anything else. The voice continued. "Tomorrow, take the elevator. Floor 2, not 3. You'll see a man. Do not speak to him. Do not look him in the eyes, no matter what he says." Emily's heart pounded. Why? Because that's the day it splits, and once it splits, it can't be put back. Click. Emily didn't sleep. Instead, she paced the apartment until morning, then returned to the office, unsure if she was obeying or testing fate. She didn't even know what day it was anymore. Time felt slippery. At 10:42 a.m., Rhonda called her to a meeting on floor 2. The elevator dinged as she stepped in, empty. She hit the button for 2. The doors slid shut. As the elevator rose, the lights flickered. Just once. The elevator stopped, but the panel didn't light up. She hesitated. Then the doors slid open to reveal nothing, no people, just quiet fluorescent light and empty carpeted hallway. Then a man turned the corner, slender, blue suit, smiling, too wide. He walked toward the elevator slowly, eyes locked on her. Emily's breath caught. She remembered the voice, "Do not speak to him. Do not look him in the eyes." She dropped her gaze and punched the door close button rapidly. He stopped right in front of the elevator doors. Smiling still. "Emily Doyle," he said cheerfully. "You're early." She stared at the floor. He stepped closer. "You know, I always imagined you'd be taller." Her finger hovered over the emergency button, but she didn't press it. "You should really look at me, Emily. I've come so far to see you." She clenched her fists. The doors finally closed. As the elevator began to descend, she slumped against the wall. That night, she smashed her phone, literally, smashed it with a hammer. The calls had stopped, but the messages hadn't. They started showing up on her work computer. Text files that weren't there the day before. Emails with no sender address. One appeared on her desktop titled Stiopi Generengen Me Txt. She opened it. "You saw him. You weren't supposed to see him yet. They know you're aware now. That wasn't part of the loop. You've made it worse." She stared at the message until her eyes blurred. The next time the phone rang, it wasn't at 3:33 a.m. It was during daylight. And this time, it wasn't her number. It was private number. Emily nearly dropped it trying to answer. "You're making things unstable." The voice sounded hoarse, ragged. "They're going to come earlier now. What's unstable? She snapped. What is this? Who is they? The voice didn't answer directly. If you go to the library on Tuesday, you'll find a file in the third floor archives. Room 307, locked cabinet. Use the blue, handled key from your dad's old toolbox. Emily's head swam. Why? Because that's where it all started. And if you're lucky, you'll see how it ends. The call cut out. That night, she dug through the back of her closet, behind an old photo album and 2 boxes of clothes she hadn't touched in years. Her dad's rusty red toolbox sat on the bottom shelf. Inside, a bent wrench, some screws, and a key with a chipped blue handle. She didn't sleep. She just sat on the floor, holding the key. By sunrise, she had already packed a bag. The library files. Emily hadn't been to the public library in years. Not since college, really. The building still smelled like dust and yellowing paper, though the front lobby now had 2 self-checkout kiosks and a teenage clerk who barely looked up as she passed. She moved quickly, like someone on an errand she didn't want to admit to. The 3rd floor was cold. Fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. She found room 307 tucked in a corner behind the genealogy section, its wooden door heavy and painted a pale green, the kind of place nobody bothered with anymore. The doorknob turned locked. She pulled the blue, handled key from her coat pocket. It fit. The lock clicked open. Emily stepped inside. Room 307 was dimly lit and filled with rows of beige metal cabinets, all labeled with faded white tags. Medical incidents, missing persons, historical archives, and municipal reports. She didn't know what she was looking for until she saw one drawer. Near the back, labeled Pre Rudity D.E. Cassiphilus 1972-2031, a chill ran down her spine. She pulled the drawer open. Inside, a manila folder sat on top of a pile of typed documents. It was thinner than the rest. On its front, typed in faded ink, SUBJECT EML dual YLE code E77 RMCLT TMPSCCS Datist in 2027, 2030, 2031, 2034. Emily's hands shook. She opened the folder. There were photos, black and white, grainy, but definitely her. In some, she was older, early 40s maybe. In others, she was surrounded by unfamiliar people. There were timestamps on each one. 2034, she read the first page of the report. Incident report, subject Doyle. E initiated first temporal loop breach in November 2027. Subject retained memory across cycle fragments, leading to psychological instability and pattern corruption. Emergency protocol initiated. Loop destabilization predicted. Observation required. She dropped the page. It didn't make sense. Was this all planned? Was someone watching her? There was more. She flipped through rapidly. Charts, coded summaries, redacted statements. Then, at the bottom of the folder, a single handwritten note. Tell her to stop at the lake. If she goes beyond the water, it resets again. And below that, this is her 6th pass. Emily staggered back from the drawer. 6th. She had done this before. Outside the library, the clouds had thickened. She walked in a daze, her bag clutched to her side. People passed her, talking and laughing, but they all sounded muffled, like voices underwater. Her phone buzzed. She hadn't touched it in 2 days. The screen showed a new message. UNK I'm doing UMBER. Now you understand. Another message followed. You were supposed to stay in the loop, but now they'll have to burn it. Then a third message, seconds later. Run. She didn't ask where. Something inside her snapped. She ran. She didn't stop running until she reached her car. She didn't drive home. She didn't even know where she was going. Just away. Out of the city. Into the hills. Toward the lake. It was nearly dusk by the time she reached it. The lake sat flat and silent beneath a bruised sky. Trees leaned over it like eavesdropping giants. She pulled the car over and got out, breathing hard. She waited. Nothing happened. No phone call. No strange men. Just still water and rustling leaves. She sat on a log by the shore, staring at the ripples, until she saw a reflection, someone standing behind her. She spun. Nobody. She turned back, and now, in the reflection, the figure was closer. A woman. Hair down, pale skin, wearing her coat. Emily stood, heart hammering. The woman in the reflection smiled. Not a warm smile. A recognizing smile. And lifted her hand to the water's surface, beckoning. Emily stumbled back. The water churned. Bubbles rose. And for the first time since it all began, Emily screamed. Behind her, her phone buzzed again. One new voicemail, same number. Hers. Emily, the voice rasped. Slower, more broken. You were never meant to know, but you pushed. You wanted answers. And now, a pause. Now the others are waking up too. You'll see them soon. All the other Emilys. And if they remember you, run faster. Click. The other Emilys. She didn't remember falling asleep at the lake. But she woke up just before sunrise, dew on her jacket, her bag lying in the dirt. The forest around her was still, except for the lapping of water against the shore. And the whispering, dozens of voices. Her name, Emily, soft, echoing, layered, like several versions of herself whispering from the trees. She stood up slowly. Across the water, she saw movement. Figures. Pale shapes between the trees. Not walking, drifting. Each one wearing different clothes. Some wore coats like hers. Some wore hospital gowns. One wore a bloody dress. All of them looked like her. Not exactly. Some were older. Others were hunched or limping. One had burns along her neck. But they were all her. She backed away. Branches cracked behind her. She turned and came face to face with another Emily. This one was smiling, calm. You should have stayed in the loop. The other Emily whispered. Her eyes were hollow. Not black, not empty, just used up. Who are you? Emily choked out. The other Emily didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward and touched her shoulder. And suddenly, Emily remembered. The first time the phone calls had scared her too much. She drove to the police. They dismissed her. The next day, she was in a hospital. She never left. The second time, she ignored the messages, laughed them off, but they kept coming, until she slit her wrists in the bathtub. The third, she followed the instructions exactly, found the lake, found the file, and drowned herself when she saw what came next. The fourth, she tried to warn others, sent letters to the government. Her family, they called her insane. The fifth, she tried to leave the country. She never made it. The sixth time, this time, she had lasted the longest. Until now. Her knees buckled. The other Emily spoke again. It's not a loop anymore. It's a net, and you tore a hole in it. Emily stared at her. Why? Why me? You figured it out first. Figured what out? That we're not people anymore. We're stories someone is trying to erase. The woods around them began to shimmer. The other Emilys watched from the trees. A hum started in the air. Faint, electric. The smiling Emily leaned in. They're coming now. The ones who write the loops. The burn. The hum grew louder. Emily turned to run, but the smiling version of her grabbed her wrist. You don't get to leave. Not anymore. She yanked free, stumbling down the hill, crashing through underbrush, the forest spinning around her. Trees blinked in and out of existence, like a video buffering. The lake vanished behind her like smoke. And suddenly, she was back in her apartment. Same couch, same blanket, same dim morning light, as if nothing had happened. Had it been a dream? She grabbed her phone. No messages, no missed calls. She checked the fridge. Vanilla yogurt, 9:14 a.m. She almost cried, until the TV turned on by itself. White noise. Then a voice came through it, not hers, not human. SUBJCT. Imana NCOPEE OPO 6 IBS Ariat PRMS ISFAR NCC on hard ST. Her hands shook. No, she whispered. No, I made it out. The screen flashed red, then black, then showed her face, older, bloody, eyes open in a tub of water. You are memory, the voice hissed. You are error. You are echo. The walls of the apartment dissolved. She was nowhere now, just white. A hallway made of light stretched ahead of her. At the end at a door. She walked toward it slowly. Behind the door, an observation chamber. Glass walls, machinery humming, monitors displaying timelines, loop IDs, brain scan images, and inside, people, wearing suits, typing, watching her. One turned. A man in a brown jacket, the same one who came to her door. He nodded slightly, pressed a button on a console. The intercom crackled. Loop 07 authorization confirmed. Reintegration commencing. No, Emily whispered, please. She turned to run, but the door was gone. The floor beneath her opened like a trapdoor. She fell and opened her eyes in bed. It was morning. Her alarm buzzed at 7:30 a.m. She sat up, no memory of dreams. She went to the fridge, vanilla yogurt. She checked the time. 9:14 a.m. She reached for the yogurt, paused. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She picked it up. Her own voice. Don't eat the yogurt. They put the memory stabilizer in it. You're being looped again. Emily stared at the yogurt in her hand. She started to cry. This wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. Not until the system broke. Not until someone else remembered. Because that was the secret, wasn't it? The loop couldn't be broken by one. But if someone else heard the message, if someone else read the story, then maybe it wouldn't be a loop anymore. Maybe it would become a warning, just like this one, just like now.